Inside a seemingly foggy house, Lisa is awakened by her little brother, Robbie, using a walkie-talkie. In retaliation, she messes up with Robbie's game. Her mother, Carol, tells her to do the laundry. She also asks Lisa for her plan regarding her upcoming birthday tomorrow, as well as informing her that her father, Bruce, is fixing their car. However, Lisa responds to all of this in a very unenthusiastic way, telling her mother that tomorrow will never come and that the car will not be fixed. Despite this, she does her chores. Eventually, her parents notice this strange depressive demeanor from their daughter, so they summon her for a heart-to-heart talk. Here, Lisa wants to tell them what has been on her mind. They are all actually dead and are now just existing as ghosts. It turns out that the current day is repeating eternally and that only Lisa is aware of this, which explains why she seems so tired of everything. But before she can say this, she gets interrupted by her family. And so the day proceeds just as Lisa has stated. The following morning, Lisa wakes up again from her little brother's call through the walkie-talkie. The day resets once more. As usual, she does her chores even though she's sick and tired of doing them. However, while taking care of the laundry, she hears a strange sound emanating from the back of the washing machine. She attempts to move the washing machine to find the source of the sound, but the machine's lid forcefully closes on itself. Freaked out by this, Lisa stops what she has been doing and leaves the laundry room. Later, while practicing her clarinet in her room, she hears a sound coming from the vent. She tries to hear the sound, but she gets interrupted by her mother, asking her about missing clothes. That night, instead of falling straight to sleep, Lisa feels uncomfortable. Upon looking at the door, she notices some shadows. For this reason, Lisa goes outside of her room to investigate. She heads upstairs to a room where she notices that its door is slightly open. But the door suddenly slams, prompting the terrified Lisa to flee from the scene. The next morning starts the same way as yesterday, but instead of feeling uninterested in everything, she now has something to look forward to. In the laundry room, she immediately checks the narrow space behind the washing machine to see if something is out of place. After moving the washing machine out of its position, she discovers a small wooden door behind it. She attempts to open it, but it needs a key to open. Later on, she plays her clarinet again inside her room. There, she hears a sound coming from upstairs, and Lisa heads there again. Due to yesterday's event, she slowly and cautiously approaches the door before finally opening it. She discovers what appears to be a storage room. On the floor, she sees a tape with moving day taped on it. She proceeds to insert the tape into a video player to see its contents. The video shows Lisa and her family during their first time moving into their current house. There, she sees a silhouette moving in the window, causing her to wonder about its identity. Wanting to know more, Lisa looks around the storage room in search of other clues. She finds an Ouija board and proceeds to use it. She asks if there is someone with them, but the Ouija board's wooden planchette remains unmoving. Carol calls her daughter to ask what she is doing, interrupting Lisa's activity. After quickly answering her mother, Lisa looks at the Ouija board again and sees that the wooden planchette has moved to the word yes. This shocks and scares Lisa. All of a sudden, the light bulb begins to flicker from soft to blinding light. When she looks at the television, she spots a figure standing beside her, causing her to flee from the room. During dinner, Lisa notices a new detail she has not encountered before. Bruce is now smoking a cigarette. This confuses Lisa because her father never smokes at all. However, Carol tells her daughter that Bruce had always been smoking after every dinner. Much later, the confused Lisa wonders where her little brother and father are. At this exact moment, they are all supposed to watch a television show. Faced with these new changes in the usual daily routine, the bewildered Lisa returns to bed. All of a sudden, she sees the same shadows below her door, although this time, whoever is behind the door twists the doorknob open. This causes Lisa to hide inside her blanket. She hears her name being whispered, followed by a hand slowly reaching out to her. But when she stands up to face whoever it is, she sees nothing at all. The intense experience causes her to tearfully go to sleep. The following day, she wakes up again from the voice of her little brother, although something is different. Instead of a normal happy day in the household, Bruce is acting violently and aggressively toward his wife due to missing spark plugs. Lisa, who had just gone downstairs, is shocked by this sudden change in behavior. At this moment, the three hear their doorbell ring. Still terrified of what is happening, Lisa urges her mother not to open the door, but Carol still opens it. Wearing a handyman uniform with shades covering his eyes, the person from the other side introduces himself as a representative from the phone company. Upon opening the door fully, Lisa suddenly gets dizzy from seeing the stranger named Edgar. The man smiles at them before proceeding to the foot of the stairs. After commenting about the scattered utensils on the floor, the stranger ominously tells them that he will start fixing things upstairs. Lisa follows Edgar, whom she spots inside her room smoking a cigarette. The stranger asks her how long she had known her predicament of being dead. Unsure, Lisa answers that she had known for at least a week. Edgar then heads straight to her face, telling her that she should ignore any strange sounds that she might hear. She should also stop communicating with the Ouija board because it is directly connected to the living. If she fails to do so, her family will be in danger. With these warnings, the stranger leaves. Later, during dinner, Lisa observes if her father will smoke after eating. Upon seeing that he did not do it, as well as seeing that her parents are both civil to each other, the bewildered Lisa tells her parents about their actions as if nothing violent happened earlier. However, her parents are genuinely confused by what she is saying as they cannot remember anything. It seems the usual daily routine has reverted to its normal form. But Lisa is already at her breaking point. She cannot handle the repetition of days anymore. And so, she decides to leave the house with her bicycle despite the thick fog outside. Bruce tries calling for her to return, but Lisa rides on. Eventually, Lisa sees a silhouette from afar and drives toward it, only to find out that she has returned instead to her house. She tries again to ride away, but the result remains the same. As such, she has no choice but to stay in the house. In the meantime, she gets the Ouija board again to communicate with spirits, specifically the one that tries to reach out to her but vanishes. After multiple tries to establish communication, the Ouija board's planchette remains unmoving. Disappointed by this, Lisa returns to her room and finds someone else sleeping in her bed. It is a girl named Olivia. Upon waking her up, Olivia quickly grabs Lisa by the wrist. All of a sudden, the room's interior becomes different and starts to shake. Olivia tells Lisa to look under the floor before everything goes back to normal again. After the brief encounter, Lisa collapses from dizziness. The following day, without wasting any time, Lisa cuts open the carpet under her bed. There she lifts the wooden tiles one by one until she finds an old book with the title photographs. Opening it, she sees a newspaper cutout of women who had been reported missing throughout the years. At the end of the book, she finds a rusty brown key. Immediately, she takes the key to the small wooden door behind the washing machine, managing to finally open the door. Inside, she sees a narrow tunnel that is also flooded, full of things such as a bottle of poison and a wristwatch. She eventually spots an incinerator. Upon looking closely, she sees a woman inside who immediately asks for her help. However, the woman suddenly combusts into flames, causing Lisa to leave the tunnel in terror. During dinner time, Lisa is visibly scared by what she had just witnessed earlier. All of a sudden, the phone rings. Bruce decides to answer it. After briefly talking with the person on the other line, Bruce tells Lisa that the call is for her. Still terrified, Lisa is hesitant to take the call, but she has no choice. The person on the other side of the call turns out to be Edgar. The stranger tells her outright not to mess with his business. Lisa asks about the wound in the basement, as well as the book full of photographs. Irritated, Edgar tells Lisa that this is his house, warning her not to meddle with things beyond her control before finally dropping the call. Upon turning around to face her family, Lisa gets surprised to see a boy sitting beside her little brother. Robbie refers to the boy as his imaginary best friend, Edgar. Lisa quickly yells and charges toward Edgar, but Robbie stops her. Edgar then talks to Lisa, telling her that he basically controls everything in the house. As such, he accelerates time while also putting the rest of the family to sleep. Lisa quickly embraces her little brother. However, she sees that Robbie's face has become disturbingly mummified. Carol and Bruce's faces also become mummified due to the rapid pace of time. Helpless, Lisa is reduced to tears, pleading that she doesn't want to be alone. When she stares above her, she spots her family looking at her, all confused with her behavior. They quickly comfort Lisa, who is still crying. Afterward, Lisa goes back to her room. She then yells at the air vent to leave her alone and change everything back to the way they were. Right after this, Lisa goes to the bathroom to close the sink. However, she sees Olivia being reflected in the mirror. To touch her, Lisa reaches out to the space beside her so that it can be reflected in the mirror. The action works as she manages to touch Olivia. Suddenly, a bright light covers the room and Lisa finds herself swapped to Olivia's location. She is now wearing different clothing and now owns a white-colored clarinet, as well as a room with a much brighter hue. Lisa discovers that she is now in modern times upon seeing the news of her family's murder back in 1985. As she heads downstairs, Lisa sees different people who all refer to her as Olivia. However, much like her family, they are also doing the same things such as playing and fixing the car. She heads to the garage to see an angry man fixing his car. He also has a habit of smoking cigarettes. Irritated, the man screams at her face to get out, causing Lisa to suddenly collapse onto the floor. By that point, she has already returned to her own time. Her parents are checking on her if she's okay. Afterward, the husband and wife take their daughter to her room to let her rest. When both her parents have left the room, Lisa immediately goes to the air vent to talk with Olivia, but she doesn't respond. She also tries to communicate through the mirror. All of a sudden, Robbie calls Lisa via the walkie-talkie to tell her that Edgar will punish her for being a bad girl. Robbie also tells her that he and Edgar will go to the secret cave. The call ends abruptly, prompting her to go downstairs into the hidden narrow tunnels. Despite being scared, she walks into the incinerator to search for her little brother. There she sees some bones mixed in with ash. Robbie calls her again, informing her that he and Edgar tricked her and that they are in the attic. Suddenly, Edgar appears at the incinerator's door. He tells Lisa that he will watch Robbie for her before closing the metal door, trapping Lisa. Much later, Lisa finds a ring that belongs to one of Edgar's victims, indicating that the incinerator has been used to burn his victims. At this point, the trapdoor above the incinerator opens. Despite the height, Lisa climbs slowly but surely to her freedom. Once outside, she sees another woman named Frances attempting to break the garage door. She recognizes her as Edgar's first ever victim. According to Frances, Edgar just kidnapped her one night and left her inside his car while the engine was running. However, Frances still doesn't know that she is actually dead, as she still intends to return to her family. When Lisa tells her this, Frances cannot believe it. As proof of this, Lisa gives Frances her ring, which she found inside the incinerator. Frances is about to touch the ring when she suddenly gets dragged out of the garage. Lisa then hears Edgar's house, telling her that this is his house. Upon waking up again in her own time, Lisa searches vigorously around the garage for an object that killed her and her family. Finally, she finds a bottle of poisonous ether that belongs to her father. Lisa realizes that her father was the one who killed them because he was actually possessed by Edgar's spirit. After yelling at her mother for assisting Bruce with the murder, Lisa goes to her little brother's room to talk about their death. But Robbie already knows about this because he found his eyeglasses, which were with him during the murder. Right after this, Lisa heads to her room to play the clarinet. Since she and Olivia both own a clarinet, she figures that playing it might lead her back to Olivia's time. She is right, as playing clarinet enables her to swap with Olivia. Inside Olivia's room, she finds a note beside a tablet that instructs her to play the video. In the video, Olivia explains about Edgar, telling her that he was born in the same house that they have and that she connected with Lisa via her necklace. She adds that her father's behavior has changed and that her mother is in denial of this, so she is asking for Lisa's help. Afterward, Lisa goes downstairs and sees Olivia's parents arguing. All of a sudden, Olivia's father becomes Edgar, prompting Lisa to urge Olivia's mother to leave. She doesn't listen to Lisa, so she runs outside the house instead. However, Lisa suddenly collapses on the ground. Edgar emerges and tells Lisa that ghosts can never leave their house. Later, she wakes up in her room again beside Carol. Shockingly, Carol tells Lisa that she finally knows that they are dead. She learns about this after managing to find the missing clothes in a laundry, which turn out to be the clothes that she packed for them to escape Bruce. With her mother and little brother now learning about their demise, Bruce is the only one left that Lisa needs to convince. As such, Lisa heads to the garage immediately to ask her father about the spark plug's whereabouts. She tells him that he already knew what he would become, so he hid them from himself on purpose. Bruce suddenly gains a moment of clarity and finds the spark plugs. However, he still doesn't understand what Lisa is trying to tell him, so he proceeds to fix the car. Now that the car is up and running, Bruce finally learns that he is dead and that he had killed them all using a poisonous substance called ether. Bruce breaks down from this horrible realization, but Lisa reassures him that he was possessed by Edgar. All of a sudden, the whole house begins to shake as everything falls apart. Now that they are all awake, they open the door to escape the house. Within the fog, they find a bright ball of light which indicates the afterlife. As they all walk toward it, Lisa decides to stay put to stop Edgar. Now alone in the house, Lisa walks into one of the rooms and sees how the young Edgar killed his parents. Lisa then runs away to Edgar's room in an attempt to escape him. There she calls Olivia to bring her to modern times. Fortunately, she gets swapped in time, but Olivia's father is already going crazy. Lisa immediately runs downstairs and breaks the walls where the wooden door should be. After getting through the narrow tunnels, Lisa gathers every object submerged in the water which belongs to Edgar's past victims. She then calls all of them for their help, but she receives no response. Suddenly, Olivia's father takes hold of her and suffocates her until she loses consciousness. When she later wakes up, she finds herself all tied up inside the back of a car. Fortunately, she sees a nearby lighter and manages to burn the tape on her hand. However, she pretends to be unconscious again upon seeing Edgar enter the car with Olivia's little sister. Edgar tells her that this is the end for her before finally opening the car to suffocate them all. Lisa takes this opportunity to choke Edgar before taking the car keys and escaping. She runs outside, but only to a certain distance because she is still a ghost. Edgar grabs her. He is about to end her life when Frances appears. All of a sudden, Francis and the other victims surround Edgar in the fog. They then take him to his own incinerator and finally kill him. Right after this, Olivia's father wakes up again. Before going away, Lisa says one final goodbye to Olivia. The following day, Lisa wakes up due to her little brother's walkie-talkie. It looks as though the day has repeated again, but this time, Robbie tells her to go downstairs because it is her birthday. Downstairs, her family greets her with a bike as her birthday present. Tearfully, Lisa happily approaches the door and opens it, revealing that they are now in heaven.